G'day. What did the F1 drivers fly to the Belgian Grand Prix? Let's get straight into it. Who do you think was on board this Pilatus PC-24? It's a 5-year-old jet arriving from Nice, seats 8 to 11 passengers. Now, does this luggage give you a clue? A Ferrari bag? And note that Charles had already arrived the day prior. So does this passenger deplane on the tarmac? No, instead the jet was towed into the hangar to allow the passenger or passengers to exit. Now, neither I or the videographer I work with, who is Pieter, saw who that was, but I'd take short odds that it was 7-time World Drivers' Champion Lewis Hamilton, as he did the same thing a couple of years ago. Now, Lewis used to own a jet of his own, this red Bombardier Challenger 605. It had the registration LCDH, which stands for Lewis Carl Davidson Hamilton. That's his name. But he sold that in 2019. Carlos Sainz also arrived by a private jet travelling from Nice on a Bombardier Challenger 604. This is an aircraft that's configured for 10, and that goes for around $5.5 million second-hand. He would have felt pretty comfy on board this jet, though, as he was the only one that we spotted getting off in Liège. Now, in just a moment, I'll talk about the jet that had the most number of drivers on board. Before I do that, I need to thank IncyJets for sponsoring this video. And as we get on in the video, you'll see that a good number of drivers flew private from Nice. But how much would you expect to fly private? Well, with IncyJets, taking a superlight jet like the Embraer Phenom 300E from Nice to Liège would run around €12,000. For a super mid-sized jet like the Cessna Citation Latitude, with space for up to 8 passengers, you'd be looking at around €16,000. And an all-inclusive flight for up to 7 passengers from London would come out at just €8,000. And for something long distance, say up to 9 passengers from Dubai, about 7 hours flight time, you'd be looking around €60,000. Now, I love flying private. You may have seen my video showcasing the experience, and with IncyJets, it's never been easier. On-demand travel, flexible booking options, and a membership for frequent flyers. Plus, there's no cancellations, no delays, and no stress. Find out more about IncyJets by clicking in the link below. Now, the jet with the most drivers on it was this one, a Dassault Falcon 2000. You'll pick these up used for about $12 million. New, 38, thereabouts. So this is a serious aircraft. On board this one, and remember they seat about 10 depending on configuration, we had a star-studded lineup. First off, DAZN presenter and Fernando Alonso's girlfriend, Melissa Jimenez, Fernando himself, then his trainer Eduardo, Gabriel Bortoleto and his girlfriend Isabella Bernardini, Oliver Bearman without his girlfriend, Valtteri Bottas, Oscar Piastri, and his mother, his father, his auntie and uncle and a grandfather are here with him this weekend. And Oscar's manager, Mark Webber. And if you're wondering how these guys actually communicate about these charter flights that come up, it's via a WhatsApp group. So, were there many fans out at Liège Airport to greet these drivers as they flew in private? I popped out there Thursday afternoon to have a look.
So I'm waiting for Oscar Piastri. I expect to be here for more than 8 hours.
Nico, I've been your fan since 2017. I was 10 at the time and now I'm 18 and I'm probably still your biggest fan in the world.
I've been here for I think 4 hours now and I'm a biggest fan of Max Verstappen and I love to meet him one day, but I don't think I'm going to see him today.
Arriving from London on this Learjet 60 was Lando Norris. Now, these are relatively cheap if you can pick one up used. I found a number on sale for a couple of $1 million US. And from London, the flight is about 80 minutes. But Lando wasn't on his own. Joining him was Fraser Sheeder, his manager's business partner, John Malvin, who's been Lando's trainer for a heck of a long time, and McLaren racing director Randeep Singh. Randeep has been on the podium at least once. I shot him in Hungary after Oscar's first win. That was last year. Next up, Max Verstappen. He is the only driver to own his own aircraft. This is a $50 million 2022 Dassault Falcon 8X. It touched down from Nice, but instead of pulling up on the apron, it pulled up out of sight of Pieter, and shortly after, this Airbus H135 departed for the Spa circuit. Now, we can't say if definitely Max was on board, but I think if you put 2 and 2 together, it's a pretty strong argument. And if you happen to see what was going on, perhaps from the other side of this mound, you might want to put your comments below. Be happy to see them. Lance Stroll is no stranger to flying private. In fact, he rarely flies commercial. He arrived on this Bombardier Global 5000. This is a long-range business jet and seats up to 17, and I think this is the largest jet that we saw coming into Liège this weekend. And the other interesting thing is that the aircraft's manufacturer, Bombardier, which is Canadian, actually makes jet skis. And I think probably the world's best jet skis. I've had a few of them in my time, and they are great fun. And they're a lot cheaper than a jet, obviously. We didn't get much of a look at Lance as he was getting off, but one eagle-eyed spotter said that this jet had the Starlink jet package. Now, Qatar Airways has Starlink on a number of their aircraft, and it's a game changer, providing amazingly quick internet access at 30,000 feet. Now, back to Lance, he'd travelled from London. That's about an 80-minute flight. He'd been in London to do some adjustments to his seat, and I know that because I had a chat with his trainer, Henry, who is seen here carrying that seat into the garage. Now, for those wondering, is Liège the closest airport to the track? Yeah, the closest major airport. There is actually an airstrip about probably 8-minute drive just down the road here, but it's not big enough to take a jet of this size, and also there's nowhere to refuel it. It's got very limited facilities, mainly just for light aircraft. Charles Leclerc arrived early on Wednesday early evening in this 10-year-old Embraer Legacy 650E. It departed Bologna, which is the nearest airport to Maranello, at 5:39 p.m. and touched down 79 minutes later. This is an aircraft that seats 13 people, but as far as I could tell, it was only Charles and his trainer Andrea on board. But nice to see him giving the few people on the hill near us a wave before heading into the hangar and off to the track. I must say that is a big jet for just a couple of people. I was on an Emirates flight once where I had all 14 first-class seats to myself from Perth. I can't believe that nobody else booked that cabin, and I got a points flight, so I was in heaven. Did a video on that too, which you'll find here. Of course, private jets aren't just for drivers. Here's VCARB's CEO Pieter on board this Cessna Citation CJ13, which came from Krakow in Poland. Took off at 5:09, landed an hour and 46 minutes later, and I can tell you that if you were to take that journey by car, that would be upwards of 13 hours. And what about Sauber team principal Jonathan Wheatley?
Oh, hello, mate. How are you?
How did you celebrate the other day?
We had a little bit of celebration in the motorhome and then got ourselves back to the factory as quickly as possible and then cracked on with the rest of the week.
And the rest of the crew back there?
Yeah, I mean, there's a great feeling in the factory at the moment. And it's good, you know, there's a belief in ourselves that's coming through now, and well, hopefully we'll carry the momentum into here.
Alex Albon also flew private, as these young ladies told me.
Only Alex has come yet. It was quite a surprise. Like, he came in and everyone was shocked.
But that was well before I or Pieter rolled up at the airport. Of course, there are numerous attractions with flying private. The ability to fly when you want and save time, but it also allows drivers to travel without being besieged by fans. Take Lewis or Lando. If they were to roll up at Heathrow Airport and walk through it like you or I would, as a normal person, they'd be mobbed. Yes, with security, they'd probably get through, and maybe they go through a special VIP entrance, but there is still a lot of mucking around if you are a major star. Of course, there will be a number of you who just don't agree with flying private, for a number of reasons, and I get that, and you're more than welcome to pen your comments below. Now, for a whole lot of extra content, I invite you to have a look over here, or head to my kimelman.com website for more information and plenty of merchandise. Thanks for watching, and stay passionate. Excuse me, garage, into the garage, yes.